guys, sorry about that. For some reason, um, our live cut out, and we shall have to start again. Oh dear. So yeah, sorry. Um, we're going to start our story again and go back a little. Um, Absolutely, that was not what we had in mind at all. But we shall nevertheless have a go at getting our stories back. So just give us a brief moment. A brief moment. I do apologize for that. We absolutely didn't want that to happen. But nevertheless, let us correct our issue. Sorry about that. We will start our story again. Welcome back to those who have come back. I do apologize for that. And we are live again. Okay, so our stories are taking place, as we said, in Kenya. We are doing what we can to find the supernatural and paranormal in Kenya. And we are making an attempt, at least, to see if we can find interesting and strange things to fit what we have learned thus far, going around the world to see different cultures and countries and see if there are commonalities that exist with both ghosts and cryptids. So we are in Kenya looking at the Kenyan ghosts and haunted Kenyan places. Hey, Rakin. There are a number, and we are looking at a very specific story that occurred in the Masai Mara. And this covers a stay by a family that went to what is arguably one of the most famous, hey Stabby, hey Stezzy, one of the most famous tourist destinations in Africa. If you're going to want to see, hey and Katie, wild animals and such, let's face it, the Masai Mara is the place to go. Hey Ezra. Um, Sorry about the break in the live. We crashed briefly for some reason, but we're back. So they went out to stay in this hotel on the Masai Mara, which, as you can imagine, is absolutely beautiful, very fancy hotel, but typical to many such places in Africa, because, of course, people want the full experience, so to speak. The cabins or cottages are at a distance, of course, from the hotel's main building itself. Um, so they arrived at the hotel, and they were particularly tired from getting there. Well, the teller of the story was very tired from their arrival there. Hey, Coco. And they settled into the cabin, which was beautiful, overlooking a river with crocodiles and things. You couldn't go down to the river because of the danger, but nevertheless, from their cabin they could see it all, and it was absolutely beautiful. Hey, Zeus, welcome back. I'm terribly sorry that we crashed like that. I'm glad to see that you made it back. But so they arrive at the cabin. They're there for 3 days, and the one thing that put them off a little bit was the fact that um, there was a taxidermied head on the wall, and they weren't too keen on it. But this is Africa; you get that in these hotels and things, of course. So it is what it is. Anyway, the parents decided they wanted to go and see a show at the main building, but the person telling the story says that she was too tired and she wasn't in the mood to go a whole kilometer back up to the hotel. So she was like, "No, I'm just going to chill in the cabin." So she sat in the cabin there and she was reading for a little bit, and all good, all good. And then she fell asleep. Now, she points out that she's a very deep sleeper, and she's one of these people that when she sleeps, she sleeps. Also, she was very tired, which means that she wasn't going to wake up, except she did. And her parents were still not back. And as she's sitting up um, on the couch where she had been dozing, she realizes that the eyes of this taxidermied head are following her. And this terrifies her. And she sort of shuts her eyes and shakes her head and looks again, and it sort of seems okay. It's stopped now. Did I dream it? What's going on? And then she realizes that there's a bit of a breeze now blowing in through the window. She said, "Well, should I better shut the windows? We're not monkeys and things coming in or whatever." So she goes to shut the window, which the breeze had been blowing the curtains in and stuff. Only the window is already shut. So now she's freaked because there's this breeze from nothing. Hey, narrative. And she's like, well, what the hell is going on? Um, what's happening? Why are we getting a breeze through a window that isn't open? So now she's very freaked about it. But then the parents come back and she's like, okay, I don't know. I'm not going to tell anyone. Um, Oh, just before the parents come back, she starts to feel this terrible cold. Now, she had a holy necklace that she was wearing, so she grips her necklace and she starts praying, and the cold goes away. But she can't sleep. Then her parents return back, but she doesn't tell them about it. She's obviously very relieved that the parents are back because she was very freaked by what happened. Uh, hey, Rayanne. Hey, Scotty. Um, So obviously very freaked by this experience, but she keeps quiet. Anyway, it weighs on her mind, and the next day she asks the guide about the experience, and he says, "No, no, you know nothing about it. Nothing. No, no, no." But she's like, "Yeah, you know what? He's hiding something. Something's weird here." But what can you do? So they carry on with their trip. And they go out onto the savannah, onto the Masai Mara. They have a wonderful day, um, seeing all the animals, and it's great. They come back to their cabin, and to their astonishment, their luggage has been thrown all round the room. So the parents are like, clearly the cleaners tried to rob us or something. So they go up to the hotel management and they complain. And the management says, well, not only is there a policy that the cleaners don't touch anything belonging to a guest, but they also only clean under supervision. So we don't know how this could have happened, but we'll check it out. And they go back to their cabin, they tidy up, and they check everything, and they realize, well, nothing's been stolen. So we don't know why. What can you do? So anyway, they're about to go to bed. They're just getting ready to get into bed, and there's this loud banging on the door. So they think, well, obviously they found something. They open the door, but there's nobody there. So they're like, okay. So they shut the door. This happens 2 or 3 times. So finally, fed up with this, the dad shouts at whoever is out there, stop buggering around, basically. So there's no answer, but the knocking stops. So they say, well, somebody's playing stupid pranks. So they go to bed, and at around 2 to 2:30 in the morning, they hear a knocking again. Now, the girl's sleeping on the extra bed near the door, so she's pretty scared to go out alone as a girl, and also after the first experience. And they had been told don't go alone at night as they're on wild animals. So she wakes her parents and tells them, look, somebody's banging on the door. And they were like, no, no, you must have dreamt it. Maybe you're getting a bit paranoid. Whereupon they all hear the knocking again, and they open the door, but there's nobody there. So the dad's like, look, there's some kid, and they're playing silly buggers. Okay. Hey, Sarah. Um, but again, what can you do? You know, I mean, there's a limit to what you can do in the middle of the night. But the next day, they go to the management and they complain. And they say, well, maybe it was a prankster. But then the dad says, you know, what kind of moron is going to let a kid out at 2 in the morning? Anyway, now this gets this girl thinking. So, was this related to what she had seen? So, anyway, on the day of their departure, the guide comes to her and says, listen, I wanted to tell you, but um, I'm not allowed to talk about it. But 9 or 10 years ago, um, there was a leopard that killed a boy at the hotel. And everybody says that the ghost of the boy still haunts the room where he was staying the night that he died. And many of the customers complain about the same thing, but only those customers that stay in that room ever gets that experience. But we know it's the ghost. Maybe it was. KLPA 100, hey, welcome, welcome. Hey, Oreo. Hey, Eugene. So it seems that there can be uh, ghosts of children that play games in the dark. But as we go trolling along through our ghosts, now let's look at some places. Horror locations. Well, we know about all the good things in Kenya and the amazing biodiversity and the incredible culture and all, but it also has its dark side. The intersection of historical folklore and unexplained phenomena that makes it a country that's not only wondrous, but sometimes a little weird. And of course, that makes us absolutely fitting to what we are interested in. So let us go further and see what we have. Now, those of you who have read any particular books on Africa have probably heard about the Danish author Karen Blixen of the famous Out of Africa. And her house, of course, is in Kenya. And visitors and staff at the house have often said that there are cold spots that appear around the house, footsteps that are heard, and on occasion, hey Stefan, welcome back. Um, there has been unexplained sightings of a woman in the attire of the earliest 20th century, which is when Karen Blixen lived there. The house, of course, is beautiful with amazing gardens, but it seems that Karen has never left the house. And if you go there, you might just see her walking its corridors. So perhaps her great love of Africa that she speaks of in her book brought her back. The next interesting place that we can talk about is Mombasa. And of course, we are referring to Old Town with its narrow streets and ancient buildings that have stood for many, many, many years. And of course, you cannot have anywhere as old and interesting as this. Hey, Kim, welcome. Hey, Tyler. Hey, Swedish Cat. You can't have a place as old as this without having ghosts as well. Um, Around Old Town, particularly near Fort Jesus, which was built by the Portuguese in the 16th century, there were numerous battles and sieges and things, and visitors say that to this day you can hear battle cries and footsteps and even see varying soldiers that are still there from the past. Now, again, this absolutely fits to what we have discovered about ghosts as we found that in order for a ghost to appear, you need two things. Um, they must have an extremely emotional uh, death. Now, when I say emotional, it could be um, very, very sad, very, very scary, or very, very angry. So their death must happen with tragedy or violence or some such thing. Very occasionally, we've encountered where ghosts have formed through genuine love, which is wonderful, but not always. The other thing that you have to form a ghost, hey Peladi, uh, is of course the ghost itself must die with deep-seated emotion, great anger or some such things. They can't appear just happy. Um, Happy people don't become ghosts, it seems, for the most part. If you forgive everybody and are a decent person, you will not ghost in general. So the fact that there are plenty of deaths there through war and such, perfect example of why ghosts will appear. Now, if you're enjoying what we're doing so far, then absolutely like, subscribe, join our channel, become part of the family, and remember, we are going to be here at 10 o'clock every night, but not Sunday night because you've got to have a day off. But we love comments. Please give your views. We love views. We only ask you be respectful. And if you would like to, you are more than welcome to join me and be part of the live and comment uh, as a guest if you wish. And if you don't, that's also great too. Lido Serdisha, welcome, welcome. Okay, so the next place is Kipipiri Forest House. So in the Aberdare range of mountains in Kenya, Kipipiri Forest House is an abandoned colonial era mansion that has long been rumored to be haunted. It is surrounded by thick forest, and the structure is now slowly decaying, giving a very haunting atmosphere. Locals from the area say that it is absolutely haunted, and at night you can hear strange noises, and you know in your bones you are being watched. And if you go too close, you can see ghostly figures moving around the house. Now, of course, the house has a history of both violence and tragedy, which is absolutely, as we say, what causes ghosts to appear. So it seems that this is another place in Kenya where it fits. Hey, Salma. It fits to what we say causes ghosts, at least from what we've seen in our varied stories, and it strengthens the commonalities we have found between different cultures and countries. Now, in Kenya, there is a cultural center in Nairobi which showcases the traditional homesteads from different tribes. It's one of those places for tourists, etc., etc. And one of one of these places is called the Boomers, and visitors that go there during the day uh, go to see examples of culture and such, and you know, that kind of thing. However, visitors who have been there at night when it is empty say that you can still hear the traditional songs and drums, and sometimes you can see spectral dancers dancing uh, in the area, even though nobody is there at all. So perhaps there are ghosts that have been there from before the time that it was a cultural center, and they still do their dances. Another interesting place that we can talk about is the Nairobi National Museum, which is not only a repository of Kenya's natural and cultural heritage and well worth a visit, in fact, but it is also a site of paranormal activity. Staff and visitors say that they see shadowy figures moving through the exhibits and hearing whispers in the empty corridors. There is a large collection of ancient artifacts and historic relatives that it is said attract spiritual energy uh, and are very eerie. And this is a fascinating thing because we have discovered, as we've been going around the varying places and talking about such things, that not only can a ghost haunt a place, but a ghost can haunt a thing. And if you take that thing into a place, the ghost can come with it. And it seems that this is exactly what has happened in the Kenyan Museum. So it seems that absolutely, yes, you can get some very interesting hauntings from objects, and it's the reaffirmation of yet another point about ghosts, that they can haunt objects as much as people. Another interesting place is the Kitale Museum, which is also haunted um, in Western Kenya, and again, it is a place that has a great number of artifacts from the region's indigenous cultures, and they say there again, not only have they experienced deep cold spots in certain parts um, and heard strange things, but here they've even had objects moving on their own, and that certain of these artifacts that they have in the museum might very well be cursed, and the ghosts of the past don't like you near them. Who's to say? Danielle, welcome. Karen, welcome. So, haunted objects, something we can absolutely say that fits in with what we've seen in a lot of other places as well. So, our lore of ghosts is growing and indeed is teaching us a great deal more. Another interesting place is the Macmillan Library. And now, here is one which we do like because we have a shadow person. As you well know, thanks for the like there, Danielle. As you well know, shadow people have turned up in several of the cultures and countries we have examined so far, and it seems that they are something more. They are not quite a cryptid and they are not quite a ghost, but something in between. And according to this, some people say that the figure is a ghost. It is the ghost of the founder, Sir Northrop Macmillan. Um, but others say it is something else, and the figure moves through the library's corridor, and some have said that they have felt a hand on their shoulder while reading there, uh, especially if they're reading the very old books. So it seems that who or whatever is inside is an approval of readers and sometimes comes to let them know. Who's to say? Hey, Lozic, welcome to you all. Uh, Remember, like, subscribe, join in, be a part of this. Send in your comments as much as you like. If you want to, you can just comment in the comments. And if you would like to join us as a guest, you are more than welcome as well. Let me know. We love to have as many comments as we can. Now, the next interesting space that we are going to look at for ghosts before we jump over to cryptids are the Gedi ruins. Now, the Gedi ruins are located near the coastal town of Malindi, and they are remnants of an old Swahili town. It was abandoned in the 17th century, but it still remains as ruins. And one of the things that visitors say is if you go there at night, you can hear mutterings in Swahili, and occasionally you see ghostly figures walking around in the ruins. And because it is an abandoned place now and surrounded by dense forest, it makes us particularly eerie. And they say that many of those that lived there before are still living, for want of a better word, uh, there now. Is it true? Well, I suppose you will only know if you go through yourself. But moving along, we now need to talk about the other side of the story, which is, of course, the cryptids. Are there cryptids in Kenya? And if so, do they fit to what we have found in other places? Are they unique? Are they just stories? Well, the first interesting thing is what they call the Nandi bear, something which is very large and hairy and halfway between a bear or hyena. And of course, this fits very much in with the first category of cryptids, which is those prehistoric creatures that absolutely did exist, um, of which we still have stories and which maybe back in the day people saw the last few of. We know that there were, and archaeologists have found remnants of weir hyenas, the very large version of a hyena which nowadays no longer exists. And the Nandi bear fits this description very, very well. Something large, violent, will absolutely eat you if it can, but essentially is a giant version of an animal. It's called the Nandi bear because it is found in the Nandi region of Western Kenya, um, and it is generally considered to be a story of what they refer to, as I say, the weir hyena, a fossil hyena, i.e., one which no longer exists, and possibly a last remaining living one. Who is to say? The next interesting thing is the dingonek, which is again linked to many such things that we do know of. Hey, unknown user, welcome. We have Nessie, of course, which everybody knows, and we have water beasts of a great many varieties all over the world, which are, again, apparently some kind of prehistoric animal. And this absolutely could be a story there on that. It is a giant scaled water creature of some variety that is seen in the rivers, mostly in southern Kenya, and is a very, very large version of a reptile. And of course, we know we get giant crocodiles and all kinds of things in that regard. Hey, Soska. So that again is a cryptid that is not in any way a surprise. Hey, Piwe. But as we move through let's look at certain of the other cryptids. The next one, again, now here is interesting because we did come across the same creature in Ethiopia, and that is what they call here a marosi, which is to say a spotted lion. Um, the locals say it is absolutely not a leopard and it is absolutely not a lion. They know the difference and they would. Excuse me for 1 second, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. False alarm. I do apologize for that. So we've encountered the exact same creature, as we say, in Ethiopia, and now we see it again in Kenya. And they say it is a large version of some kind of big cat, but it is particularly spotted, and it doesn't fit to any normal animal set that we know of particularly. It is not a known one, so maybe it is a prehistoric version or possibly a hybrid. Hey, Joel Reed, welcome, welcome. But we don't know for sure, so there you have that. What else can we say? Are there more? There are not a great many cryptids, if you will, in Kenya. It seems that by and large they have enough with their ghosts, of which there were absolutely a great many. So, in terms of the cryptids, there is a limit, but of the few that they do have, we have seen echoes, possibly explainable, that exist in a number of other countries in that particular way. So we can say that, hey Louisa, there's not too many of the cryptids, but every legend I have tracked down has led us onto a lot of ghosts. So we're going to go back a little and again speak of our ghosts, and then we will round off with our setup after that. But the next interesting thing is Lord Egerton's castle, which is in Nakuru. A very grand structure, but with a very tragic history. It was built by Lord Egerton in the early 20th century, and it was meant to be a gift for his fiancée, who ultimately rejected him, and he lived there in isolation, heartbroken, and of course, Q, if you will, the one reason that ghosts form is great tragedy. And absolutely, it was a very large and beauteous house and would have cost a hell of a lot to build. So clearly, the young lady meant a great deal to him, and then she ultimately rejected him and wandered off. Can I send a galaxy? A galaxy what, Ollie? Do make a comment if you wish. If you would like, I will absolutely put you in on the live. Let me add a few people. If anybody would like to join, you are more than welcome. Do some invites again. Do bear in mind that if you do not wish to, you do not have to join live, but do send comments. We need lots and lots of comments, and if you agree or disagree, tell us. But do tell us why as well, because we want to learn. Absolutely. And like, subscribe, send lots of gifts. We love gifts. Do become a member of the channel. So, now, Lord Egerton died in this location. in this house alone without his love, and it is said that his spirit haunts the castle still, and you can hear him crying in the rooms as his ghostly figure walks around, and if you're lucky or unlucky, you might even see him. But now we have to go to something truly dark. Of course, we have to have the dark. I mean, what's the point of doing this if we don't have the suitably dark and terrifying? And for that, we go to the murder house. Now, this is actually, in terms of places around Kenya, pretty modern. It's in Nakuru, and it is a place where uh, a house was built. It's a very nice house, and nowadays it is a very empty house. And the reason for it is that uh, the house was the site of the very gruesome murder of an entire family. And since this occurred, it has remained entirely empty. Nobody will live in it because they say, and perhaps it is true, um, you can hear the screams at night of those that were murdered there. And through the windows, if you stand and peer, you can see the ghosts moving through the house. And it has become, therefore, a place that no local will ever live. They say, you just don't. This is not where you go at all, and nobody will buy it. And so, since the terrible murders and the haunting began, uh, it has remained empty. Now, it's most interesting, of course, because um, Kenya has kind of grown in the paranormal community. Cheers, cheers. And I've always found that in terms of Africa, possibly because of the affinity to the ancestors and such, um, there has never really been, for the most part, a serious paranormal community. Possibly because a lot of people will tell you that what's the point? We know that they are there. Um, there is no particular need for a paranormal community whatsoever because we are aware that the ghosts are there. Why should we worry about having a search for them? They're there. We have our ancestors. But in Kenya, there is a growing enthusiasm for research into exploring and documenting haunted locations. And it seems that you can even join several social media groups to learn more. So if you are interested, of course, um, not only in the hauntings, but in the cultural mysteries and cryptids and things, there are absolutely places in Kenya that you can uh, join up with to learn more. So perhaps if you are interested in the more African variety of such things, then this is where you need to go. However, what else can we say? Well, we can start to consider what we have learned from these varied stories. And do give your opinion because we have some reaffirmation of older stuff, but also, of course, some newer stuff as well, which includes the fact that it's absolutely either tragedy or violence that causes ghosts. um, it absolutely fits with the theory that we seem to have developed in our chats that you must, to create a ghost, have a great deal of emotion, be it good or bad, um, at the death of the person, in that they must die in a emotionally fraught manner, and also that they must die with deep emotion in their heart, be it great anger, great sadness, great terror, or even great love. Um, and that will cause a ghost, and the ghosts absolutely fit to um, these general views. Hey, Ethan McKillen, and you gone. Oh well. Nevertheless, um, so this reaffirms what we have found so far. We also find it seems that prayer and holy items is absolutely a deterrent to the supernatural and paranormal. Though I would question if we are talking a cryptid that is a physical cryptid, something like, for example, Bigfoot. Would a holy item work against that, as they are a physical creature? Possibly not. I wouldn't want to be in a position to have to find out. But nevertheless, it depends what you see them as being, I suppose. Um, hey, Cremax, welcome, welcome. Um, so there is absolutely a lot of affirmation to what we have found about ghosts so far. We have found ghosts that are simply echoes that do nothing except their own thing. There are ghosts, it seems, that can be a little naughty, like the child ghosts in the Masai Mara, um, but they're not really dangerous, can we say? But then, absolutely, there are ghosts that are angry and which move things around, even, and so potentially could absolutely be dangerous, such as the ones that haunt some of the Kenyan artifacts. So, there is that to be said. But a very interesting thing which came up now um, for the first time in stories of hauntings, and please do tell me if you have any experience of it. But it kind of fits to other things we have seen, that ghosts cannot pass through glass. Now, we have many stories around the world that we have seen thus far that absolutely have said ghosts have been seen outside the window or inside looking out of a window, but they never seem to pass through. And according to the legends in Kenya, ghosts can't go through glass. Has any of you heard anything similar to this? Is it something that comes from any knowledge or understanding that you have? Might it matter? Um, we know, of course, that a great many uh, psychics will tell you that crystals are of great importance, absolutely. Um, and glass, what is it if not some kind of a crystal? So perhaps we can say that glass is indeed something that can stop a ghost. I don't know. Do tell me what you think. Send your opinions, please. And of course, like, subscribe, become a subscriber. Join our channel. Remember, we are here at 10 o'clock each night, except on a Sunday. Um, but absolutely, it seems there's a new and interesting addition to put on our knowledge of what ghosts are and what affects them. Now, the last thing, of course, is that we absolutely have a creature which some have said is a ghost, but seems to be something else, which fits to what we are currently calling the jinn, uh, a race or a people, if you will, that live alongside human beings that are not human, that may exist at least largely and in part in a parallel dimension, but which can slip through into this one, either becoming visible or even coming entirely into this world and having a more physical body so they can interact with this world. And according to what we have seen, some of them are quite benevolent. Some of them are not at all, and some of them just are there. They don't care about you as long as you leave them alone. So, we have encountered yet again in Kenya something that fits to this. In the one case, they seem benevolent and simply are interested in a library. And in the other, it is a village that can be quite annoying, if not dangerous, to the local people, and which are kept away with sharp metallic sounds. So, we can say that, in fact, we've had an affirmation of the jinn, which is what we are calling them for want of a better name at this time. We absolutely have plenty of affirmations. Thanks for the like there. Of ghosts. But we have very, very few cryptids in Kenya. It seems to be a pretty chill place. Um, just a few prehistoric animals, and that's about it by and large, unless there's something I'm missing or was unable to find in my research for this. But nevertheless, as I say, they have more than a sufficiency of ghosts to keep us busy. So we have that going for us. And of course, Kenya is a place that you should visit anyway, because after all, it is such a beautiful and amazing place. Hey Daisy, hey I love sunsets. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, so absolutely, it is well worth a visit just for its environment. And I find myself, at least, that the Kenyans are a lovely people. They really are. Well worth knowing. I do enjoy meeting the Kenyans, and of course, why not? But if it's the cryptids, the ghosts, and the eerie that you are after, they have plenty to keep you well satisfied as well. So absolutely nothing to worry about missing out on if you go to Kenya. Do you have any favorite stories of your own about Kenya? Do you know anything about Kenya? Um, I can say that it has long been a famous place, and before it was so well known, um, a great many wannabe hunters and the likes went out for uh, the great animals and things. Hey, KP. Hey, Paula. But that being said, Uh, Africa is a dangerous place after all, and not all of them made it back. And so I'm sure there are a great many ghosts um, eaten by lions and the like that haunt the Masai Mara without a doubt. So if you're in need of hauntings, even besides anything from uh, the wars and such that occurred, there's lots of reasons for ghosts to happen. Uh, hey there, Josinella. I must admit I was quite surprised about the murder house because, by and large, the Kenyans have always seemed to me to be a pretty chill bunch. There, it's one of the nicer places to visit. So, to have a house where an entire family was wiped out was a bit of a surprise to me. It's not something as typical for for their country, but I suppose um, no one peoples has the authority on arseholes, as somebody once told me, and you absolutely get bad people in every culture and country, and I'm sad to say is absolutely true. Um, there is no doubt about that. Um, hey, Clevy. So, hey, Chase. We can certainly say there's plenty of reason for the ghosts to exist. Um, and as we see, we have ghosts of tribes and ghosts of locals and ghosts of the colonialists as well. Plenty of and all over. But that seems to wrap up the majority of these strange and interesting things found in Kenya. Now, I think, of course, uh, for our next live, we need to go to a place very different. Absolutely, we do need to do that. Somewhere completely different to Africa, I think. And as we've done a number of places around Europe, um, I am debating perhaps going and looking at some place like maybe Scotland. Scotland, of course, has a great many stories that are very, very interesting and would be a good contrast to Africa. And it would give us a chance again to see if the very different culture and country will give us commonalities. We absolutely have reaffirmed our commonalities with ghosts, but again, still no answer, which worries me greatly. Why do ghosts cause cold spots? Nobody can tell us, it seems. I want to know. Can, in fact, ghosts uh, go through glass? It seems, at least in Kenya, they say they cannot. And I've encountered a lot of stories where they haven't, which might imply that they can't. So there's a good question for that. Um, it does seem to be the case that holy items work, which is good news. If you have holy items, keep them close just in case, because you never know. But with all of that said, we have done with our story of Kenya. If you have any special preferences, please tell me if there is a particular country, if we haven't done it, that you would like to see done. Remember, like, subscribe, share with others. Remember that we get together at 10 each night. I'm in South Africa, so I'm not entirely certain what the time is where you are, but 10 o'clock for me, which is GMT +2, I believe. Um, and you would be very, very welcome. Remember, we love to have comments. We would love to have you as a guest, as long as you can promise to at least be polite to others and accept that while you are more than welcome to your opinion and we'd love to hear it, it doesn't mean that everybody else is wrong. And we love to hear from different religions as well, because the many different religions gives us different views to talk about. And in fact, it is from Islam that most of the explanation has been received on the jinn, while many, many cultures talk about seeing them and the stories are the same. It is only really Islam that has told us much about the nature of them, which is why, of course, we refer to them as jinn. I myself am not a Muslim, um, so I have uh, learned a great deal from that, which I think is fantastic. Ghosts, it seems, by and large, they're pretty much the same no matter what culture or country you go to. They behave in the same way, they are caused by the same thing, and you get, of course, your different levels ranging from the utterly benign to the truly terrifying and quite dangerous. Um, I know there was an incident that occurred, this was in South Africa, but just as an example, on a visit to Kempton Hospital, if you're interested in ghosts, definitely Google Kempton Hospital. Um, and when I was there with some friends visiting, it is a very, very haunted location. And in fact, a ghost attempted to push myself and my friend off the roof of the hospital. Um, and we both felt it and we saw her. So we were quite surprised. And afterwards, I went and did research on what it could have been, and it seemed that there was a mentally disturbed patient that committed suicide by jumping off the roof at that point. And now she haunts the roof and will try to push people off in her tragic anger. So ghosts can be scary. Um, In terms of cryptids, of course, we've got our differing kinds. You've got the prehistoric animal varieties. You've got those that are really and truly unique to a specific place and are there by and large as a moral or warning story more than I think they are real. And then you have the ones which seem to turn up in every culture all around the world, which include, of course, things like your Loch Ness monster, which is a dinosaur like creature, which seems to turn up in many places all over the world. Bigfoot in multiple countries and in different shapes and sizes, but definitely the same kind of thing, which is very interesting. So we have different sorts of commonalities dependent on what sort of supernatural or paranormal thing we are talking about. Um, so join me again Monday night at 10 o'clock South Africa time. Haha. And we shall talk again about the supernatural, the paranormal, and the weird and the wonderful with me, Strange Bones, live from the Drakensberg. And I do hope you have a wonderful evening further. Sleep deep, sleep sweet, but sleep with one eye open, and keep that holy object near at hand. Because remember, there are things that go bump in the night, and perhaps they will go bump for you.